So in this video, we're going to be talking about how the NRA just admitted that they did nothing to stop the massive gun control provisions that Congress just passed in the recent spending bill. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think we should not be compromising on gun control at all, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Sonoran Desert Institute. SDI is an accredited online college that helps students learn the skills and techniques they'll need to be successful in the firearms industry. SDI's faculty is comprised of professionals with decades of industry experience, and SDI has programs that are designed to combine modern learning methods with hands-on training options and the flexibility of online education. To find out more about SDI, you can visit www.sdi.edu, or you can call the number on this screen. So I guess in the intro, we have received a response from the NRA on why they did not fight against the gun control provisions that were within the $1.5 trillion omnibus spending bill that Congress just passed. And I also want to give credit where credit is due, because it was actually John Crump who hunted down the NRA to get a response from them on this whole issue. And again, I just want to give credit where credit is due, because he's the one who actually got the NRA to respond to this. Now, if you're not aware, buried within almost 3,000 pages of the spending bill that Congress recently passed was snuck in some national gun control measures. The spending got streamlined through the House and Senate last week, because not only did this fund government's excessive spending for the next year, but also because it included $13.6 billion in aid towards Ukraine. Inside this spending bill was the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act, or VAWA, the NICS Denial Notification Act, and also some other gun control measures. So first, let's talk about VAWA. VAWA is a law that focuses on domestic violence programs, which originally passed in 1994, but then expired back in 2019. When the reauthorization of VAWA popped up once again, those individuals on the left also sought to expand the language within VAWA to also close this so-called boyfriend loophole. If included, the language would have expanded the red flag mechanisms within VAWA beyond just actual spouses and would expand it to any actual romantic partner. Now, the version of VAWA that passed in this spending bill was the original version without the expanded language on closing the so-called boyfriend loophole. And essentially, the NRA is using that as an excuse of why they are neutral on VAWA. They stated in February of 2022, a bipartisan VAWA reauthorization S3623 was introduced in the US Senate. Due to the tireless advocacy outreach by the NRA ILA and NRA membership, none of the so-called loophole language was included in the bill. Then in the very next sentence, they stated, S3623 text was included in the fiscal year 2022 Consolidation Appropriations Act that Biden signed into law. So essentially, the NRA is okay or neutral on some red flag mechanisms, because in their own statement, they're saying we fought against the expansion of the language to include that whole boyfriend loophole, and how great are we? Look at us, how great and amazing we are. But oh yeah, the language still passed, and we did nothing about it. That original language, that whole original red flag, that passed. We didn't do anything about it, but look how great we are because we advocated to stop the whole boyfriend loophole stuff. It's very confusing what their response actually is. Now, beyond just reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act that this spending bill included in it, it also passed the NICS Denial Notification Act. The NICS Denial Notification Act that was passed in this spending bill establishes that if a background check system sends back a notice of denial, then the Attorney General must send a report to local law enforcement in the state on where that person sought to purchase the firearm, the date and time, and also the identity of that specific person. One big issue with all this that I was talking about, other organizations as well, like GOA was talking about, is that 9 out of 10 times when a denial comes back from the NICS system, it is actually a false denial against a law-abiding person who can lawfully purchase and possess a firearm. The NRA's response to why they did nothing to stop this and stop that NICS Denial Act from being included in the spending bill was, and I quote, "In many cases, states will already have this information. 13 states conduct their own background checks using the NICS system, and 6 others conduct some of their background checks, usually on handguns, while FBI conducts long gun checks in those states. In these states, NICS denial notification will make no change as the state already has the information on denials." So here the NRA is essentially saying that since 13 states already have some sort of scheme like this, they are essentially neutral on Congress passing a law that affects all the states in the US. This is akin to the NRA saying, well, 13 states maybe have a mag ban, so it doesn't matter if Congress passes a national mag ban. It's not going to affect those 13 states. Well, what about all those other states? Why are we going to advocate for all these other states who have to follow unconstitutional laws that we know are unconstitutional in those 13 states? Why are we just letting this pass at a national level because 13 states are already doing something unconstitutional? The NRA then goes on to say that NRA is not aware of any information supporting a conclusion that such a high percentage of NICS denials are incorrect. If we had evidence that the false denial rate was anywhere near that high, we would pursue a constitutional challenge against NICS. Well, first, I would point to the FBI's own research, like the 2017 NICS operations numbers and various other FOIA requests that all point to the fact that this is actually the NICS denial rate. But even those, I guess the NRA is contesting because they say some have claimed that more than 9 in 10 NICS denials are incorrect, but this claim is misconstruing research that shows that more than 9 in 10 NICS denials do not result in prosecution. I would say to the NRA on this point that even if that is their position, that 9 out of 10 is reflective of prosecution rates, doesn't that also hint at why this would still be very bad? If 9 out of 10 times people are being denied for reasons not even sufficient enough for the government to prosecute them, doesn't that point to a larger issue within the NICS system and why we don't need more of it? The next thing that this bill included was funding for the ATF to deputize local police. The deputizing local police mechanism seeks to undermine various states who also have passed various Second Amendment protection acts. Now, to me, this was one of the more concerning aspects of the bill, but again, the NRA seems to be more laissez-faire about what impacts this would actually has, or they simply just are very neutral on it. The NRA stated the second firearms-related provisions allows deputization of state and local law enforcement to assist in enforcement of a limited number of existing federal firearms prohibitions. This authority is duplicative of existing broad federal authority to deputize local law enforcement to assist in enforcement of federal law. This provision effectively makes no substantive change to federal law. Now, I have 2 points on this. First, this law is not duplicative in the whole broad federal deputization because this language specifically applies to ATF and ATF agent deputization. This is giving the ATF greater authority to go out into targeted localities and deputize local law enforcement to do their own bidding. Second, yes, law enforcement cannot actually be forced into deputization against their own will, but the NRA is ignoring the real-world implications of all this. This will allow the ATF to go into areas and proposition local law enforcement to have their officers taken off their own local budgets and then be put onto the federal budget system. And the last thing I want to mention is that the NRA conveniently glazed over this whole funding issue and the whole funding that will actually be given to research on so-called gun violence. As we all know, anytime the government funds research on gun violence, that research will be then used in a biased way as a rationale for future gun control. But hey, again, the NRA is neutral on that. The issue I have with the NRA's response is that they're supposed to be the largest 2A advocacy group that we have in our nation. They claim to fight for firearms owners and they claim to be no compromise. Yet we see that is not true. Their silence and neutrality on gun control bills like this is effectively their support for it. So let me know what you guys think about the NRA's response down in the comment section. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in this video and in these types of two-way news. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough for everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could have ever thought. So thank you so much for all of your support. And as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget to stay with Built Bar Arms Scholars and stay with Maintain Arms Scholars.